Gina Brooks, and I am recording from Mi Casa. So that is something new that I'm going to be doing. And if I look worn out, it's because it's after 6 now, and I've worked all day. And I usually record in the morning where I look fresh, so you'll have to deal with all of this. And I wanted to start by asking you a question. When you hear the word authentic, what do you think of? When I hear the word authentic, I usually think of authentic leather or authentic snakeskin or authentic Mexican food, right? So how do you describe being authentic in a human being? And that's what we're going to talk about today, authenticity. And I'm going to struggle with saying that all day today, so you'll have to bear with me. So I always start off my videos with a quote. So today's quote is, "Hard times arouse an instinctive desire for authenticity." And that was from Coco Chanel. And Coco's point was, when we are in an emergency, or if we're in a national disaster, or we're having some kind of crisis, it's really difficult to hide who we really are inside. It typically just naturally comes out, right? So like in normal days, we might be able to put on a different hat to change how we behave or how we seem to others, right? So when you think of authenticity, the opposite of it would be being fake, correct? So, I mean, you hear that every once in a while. Oh, she's being fake. She's being fake. Oh, how fake is she? And sometimes when people don't know the individual, how do they know they're being fake? How do they know who they are inside? And that's what authenticity is. It means that you act in a way that shows your true self, right? So rather than showing people only a particular part of you, you're showing them the whole you, the real you. And I think finding that real you is a lifelong journey, because I think I just started that about a year ago. So I'm barely starting on finding out who my authentic self is. But that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the characteristic of an authentic person, how to be an authentic person. I don't know if I should talk about being authentic today as I have my extensions in, but that's not the kind of authenticity we're going to talk about today. So when you think about succeeding at being authentic, you first have to know who you really are inside. And then if you were to wear a mask every single day to adhere to what others expect, you would not be happy, because you're constantly going outside your value system. And that's something we're going to talk about in a little bit, in understanding what being authentic means. So let's say if you had to wear a mask every day at work, and some of us do just to survive, right? Sometimes we live outside what we consider authentic or that adheres to our belief system. But it's a job, so we have to act in a certain way to conform. The problem with that in the long run is if you're constantly conforming and not being your authentic self, your value system and maybe the corporation or jobs, corporate culture doesn't match with you, and you're going to eventually have a hard time finding success and happiness in that job. So, what are some common characteristics of an authentic individual? And one of the things that I read, and I thought it was kind of interesting, was they said, I'm just going to read it to you. It said, common characteristics that show they are psychologically mature and fully functioning as human beings. I'm in big trouble, because I don't even think that I'm even close to finding out who my authentic person is. So does that mean I'm not a fully functioning human being? I think some people would agree with that. So what do authentic people look like? Okay, so when you think of the opposite of authentic, the opposite of authentic is being fake. So authentic people don't fake how they feel. Now, I do think I'm pretty good at this. I have no problem saying how I feel. I'm very equipped at expressing my feelings pretty much at all times, whether you want to hear it or not. I don't try to pretend that I'm feeling something I'm not. Matter of fact, if I do try to pretend I'm not feeling something, it actually causes me more discomfort than just being vulnerable and saying how I'm feeling. Okay, So authentic people don't fake their feelings. They express themselves freely because they believe in who they are. And I love that. And they're not afraid to show it. So I think I've got 1 point in the authentic person category. That's probably all I'm going to get. See, this is where I'm going to fail immediately. Number 2, they don't need validation from others. Superly, highly authentic people are so sure of themselves and like who they are that they don't require or need validation from other people. Now, many of you know me by now from my videos and my writing. Obviously, one of my love languages is needing affirmation if you read my Monday morning moment. So I haven't quite mastered that part of not needing validation to feel self-assured or to feel as if I have self-worth. That's something that I have been working on. I definitely rely on that too much. So a truly authentic person doesn't need validation from others. Okay. Number 3, they are honest. They are confident in their value system and don't see any reason to lie. Again, that goes back to being able to express your feelings and who you are and not lie about how you're feeling. Oftentimes, people who aren't authentic lie to others because they're actually lying to themselves because they don't want to be vulnerable. So a truly authentic person is able to be honest, and they admit when they make a mistake. They don't have a problem saying, I messed up. Okay, number 4, they don't pretend to be something they're not. Again, that goes with that being fake comment when people say, oh, she's being fake. A truly authentic person doesn't feel like they have to pretend to be something they're not to fit in. And I think you see this a lot once kids go to elementary school. Like, think about children before they meet other people and start being influenced by others. They're pretty confident in who they are. But as soon as they go to school and they start seeing everyone act a certain way to feel like they fit in, they oftentimes conform. A truly authentic person says, this is who I am. I'm not changing because everyone else is this particular way. They are confident in who they are. I'm not there yet, but I'm going to get there. They live in the moment. I love this one because that's kind of my motto this last year is, to live in the moment. And authentic people don't dwell on the past. They don't live their life worrying about what they did in the past. They accept all failures. They learn from it and they move on to develop a successful future. So authentic people do not live in the past, they live in the moment, okay? And they steer the ship. Authentic people don't let other people make choices for them, particularly in important decision making. They steer the ship. They know what's best for them because they know the real them. They've established their value system. So when decisions have to be made, they're the ones that are going to make those decisions that affect their life. So how do you become authentic? I mean, if it's a lifelong journey, every day is a lifelong journey. You can learn every single day. I'm learning, I'm 50, and I think for the first time in my life, I'm actually discovering who I am as a person, and I'm starting to steer that ship. So it is something that if you learn about it and grow and be more comfortable with it, I do believe that you can be authentic, because all that's saying is you're being who you really are inside. So let's go in and delve into that. Okay, so how to be authentic? You need to embrace your values. Okay, so live your life according to your core values. And if you don't know what your core values are, I encourage you to sit down and really think about what your core values as a human being is. So one of mine is, I like things straight up. I always say that to people, just tell me how it is. I don't like beating around the bush, even if it hurts. I prefer to just have the full story, the full truth. I like honesty. It's one of my core values. So you have to discover all of your core values, and those are the things that you're going to draw a line in the sand at work, at home, in relationships where you say, you cannot cross this line. These are my core values. Okay? So values are the things that you believe are important in the way you work and live. So be honest with yourself about what you want in your life based on those values. And once you have these values, commit yourself to living a committed life to these values, okay? So when you're working on your personal or professional goals, they should align with your core values, your interests, and whatever abilities you have. So your core values should steer your life, including your work and home. So if you're aware of what your core values are, everything else will come into place because your core values make up who you are and who your real self is. Okay. So one way of example to find out what your core values is, like, test yourself on an ethical decision. Who do you listen to? And this is funny because being in recruitment, we often ask like ethical questions during job interviews. And the reason we do that is we want to hear how the person answers it and discover a little bit of their core value. How would they deal with an ethical issue? So let's just do an example. Think of something ethical. Who do you listen to? Do you listen to yourself based on your core value system? Or are you easily persuaded by others in determining what's ethical to you or not? That's when you say you stand up for those values and you can only determine what those core values are. So the next one is in order to be authentic and learn how to be authentic, you have to live with integrity. And integrity is just about analyzing your choices. We all have that little voice in our head that tells us, don't do this or do that, or like you could say the devil and the angel. Which one are you listening to? That's what you need to ask yourself. It might be fun to ignore the angel, go with the devil and make your choices based on that. But in the long run, if you're going against your core values, you're going to be unhappy and you're going to feel guilty and you're going to resent other people or yourself. Okay? And you have to accept yourself for who you are. I mean, everyone makes mistakes. We are imperfectly perfect. And I got this t-shirt that actually says that. I'm perfectly perfect. And I love that because we all are broken people. We all fall short. We're all imperfect. And admitting that we're imperfect is that first step to having integrity. Okay? So authentic people embrace the value of learning from every failure and disappointment they have. Okay? And that's how you build integrity, by accepting that you're not perfect. Okay? Communicate honestly, and I kind of talked about that earlier, and that's when you say what you mean. Okay, and I'm guilty of saying what I mean and sometimes not thinking first. Because I think in my brain, while I'm being honest, okay, that's a core value of mine, but you also have to be mindful of other people's feelings and maybe their opinions. So as important it is to communicate honestly, be conscientious of your audience. And I know that I need to work on that, and that's something that we all can work on daily. Okay? So no playing games. If you're being honest and communicating honestly, you don't need to be passive aggressive. You don't need to play mind games. You can be vulnerable and communicate your feelings, be aware of your feelings, and know that when you express your feelings honestly, you have that chance of being disappointed or hurt. But in the end, you're free because you have expressed your true feelings, and communicating honestly is understanding who you are at the core. Okay? So don't judge. No, everyone's guilty of judging. I mean, they always say that those first impressions we make just like when someone says she's fake, how do you really know someone's fake if you don't know them? So we need to be conscientious of not judging people. Try not to pass judgment, be open-minded, and give people a honest, clear chance of showing you who their real person, who their real authentic person is. And that helps you trust people and at face value. I always have told my kids, I trust you until I can't trust you. That means I'm going to give them 100% trust until they broke it, and then I don't trust them anymore. Headlines, I don't trust them anymore. Just giving you an update. Develop confidence in yourself. Believing in yourself is, and your values is very important. And confidence kind of goes hand in hand with self-worth and self-esteem. And I think that's something that we can all work on. But once you're confident with your core values, you're able to do all these things that I talked about earlier. You're able to listen. You're able to communicate honestly. You're able to believe in yourself. You're able to be real. You're able to be yourself and not need validation. So as soon as you develop your confidence, you will be able to do all of these things. So strength of character will allow you the ability to stand your ground when you think something is wrong. Again, like I talked about earlier, is drawing that line in the sand. Okay? And the last one I'm going to talk about, and there's so many of them, but is controlling your emotions. And I get a big, huge F in controlling my emotions. I have zero control of my emotions. What you see is what you get with me. And some people find it adorable and some people don't. And that's certainly something that I'm a straight shooter. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. And that's something that I personally need to work on. And an authentic person is able to control their emotions and think before they act. They get all the facts, they decipher things, and they make a decision based on information and not emotions, because emotions can make us actually go outside the line of our value system. Okay, so those are a few examples and tips on how to be authentic. And I'm just going to leave you with one thing. I'm going to leave you with a little exercise if you want to do. And the exercise just makes you kind of think about valuing yourself and who you are, and it kind of helps you start to look within. But this is an example because we always think about movie stars and what they mean to us. So this is the exercise I'm going to leave you with, and that'd be great if you could do it. If not, I want you to go home and write down your core values and start building your confidence in your core values so you can stand by what's important to you. Okay, so the exercise is, what famous movie, TV character do you most identify or admire? And I want you to write down why. Or if you're a manager or coworker, you can do this with your staff at a team meeting. Okay, so you select a character that you admire, pinpoint the specific traits about them that you respect, and then how do you identify with that character? Okay, so I want you to be the lead character in your own life. So ask yourself, after you decide on that character, why did you choose that character? What leadership traits do you have in common with that character? Which characteristics are different? So what characteristics do they have that you don't have? And does your choice of character relate to qualities that you identify with? So you choosing that person and the characteristics that they have, do they match with your value system? Most likely they do. So I hope you get a chance to do this activity. And as always, I'm so excited to be with you guys. And if you visit, I'm not sure if you're seeing me on YouTube, but if you are seeing me on YouTube, go to my website. It's www.workplacewanda.com and subscribe. I do Monday morning moments each Monday morning and a video on Thursday. So if you subscribe, then you won't have to try to find me. You will just have me twice a week. That doesn't sound good, does it? But you know what I mean. Anyway, from my casa to your casa, goodbye.